Pat Jagger.
My computer says 9 a.m., even though it's a minute before up there. So let's call the meeting to order. This is the Keene County Transportation Committee for Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. We have Dr. Iqbal and Mr. Sanchez on the phone, otherwise a full house in attendance. Could I have a motion and a second to move to approve our minutes from September 15th, 2020?
Point of order, could we
We got to do roll call.
roll call
Roll
first?
call, please.
Mr. Chairman, sorry.
Kenyon? Iqbal? Caius?
Caius present.
Sanchez?
Here.
Weber?
Here.
Martin?
Here.
Fries?
Here.
Hanson?
Okay, so I guess we don't have a full house, waiting for Mr. Hanson.
Oh,
Motion and a second to approve our minutes from September 15th. Mr. Caius and Mr. Kenyon, comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
roll call.
Roll call.
This could be a short meeting. If
We can keep trying.
Iqbal?
Trying to see if you'll miss.
Kenyon? Yes. Caius?
Caius, yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Okay, the minutes are approved. Public comment period. It looks like we have nobody from the public in attendance today. Is there anybody online? Nobody online. Finance report. We don't have anybody from finance here, so Tom, you want to take the transportation finance?
Yeah, you have the report in your packet. I just wanted to show real quick just the trends as you see on the graph above. The trend is that the various funds, local option, motor fuel tax, and the sales tax are starting to trend back up. So good news in that aspect. That's all I have to report.
Okay. Any questions for Tom? Hearing none, we'll move on to item B under finance. Resolution approving a supplemental appropriation for an IGA with the Forest Preserve related to the Bliss Road Fabian realignment. Tom?
This is letting that occurred with the Forest Preserve, and it's our responsibility to do some environmental mitigation. And as part of that, there's 400 trees that are being planted in the Elburn Forest Preserve. The Forest Preserve let the contract. It came in $29,800 over. And so we're doing a supplemental appropriation for that $29,800 plus $20,000 in contingency if needed. And so it's a total of $49,800. Staff is recommending approval.
Okay, so we're planting trees at Elburn Forest Preserve, but it's not on the site of the project, but that's where the Forest Preserve chose to have it done. Questions or comments?
Maybe we could get the Elgin Rotary to get us another
Maintain them and
$55,000.
water them. Anything else? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Roll
Oh,
call.
roll call, I'm sorry. We need a motion and a second. I'll get it right one of these times.
That vacation really messed
Yeah.
you out
Yeah, I
there.
lost my edge.
Yeah.
I'll move.
Weber and Martin. And roll call.
Iqbal?
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon? Yes. Caius?
Caius, yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, next item is our maintenance report. Tom,
I do not have anything to add to the report.
any questions on that? See Tom. And then item B is a resolution approving the purchase of auto parts for the coming year with an extension option. Tom?
Yeah, this is the first of 3 potential extension options. And pretty much, as you saw in the memo, everybody's agreed to the same terms or slight minimal increases. And I think there was only one vendor that opted not to extend, but agreed to an as needs and if needed type of offer. So staff is recommending approval.
Okay, need a motion and a second. Moved by Mr. Caius, second by Mr. Kenyon. Roll call.
Discussion?
Any discussion? Mr. Caius?
Just a question on the as need. I'm not familiar with the as needs and if needs. Do they just stock like a bin of bolts?
Yeah, my understanding is in that type of situation that they can call them up and check on the price. It might be that they go with that price or that they look at other quotes as well. So it's not an extension of the contract. I don't know if anybody else.
So they may take it from them or may not, but it's
Yeah.
small purchase.
Yeah, that's my understanding. I can check with purchasing exactly on what they meant by that and get back to you.
Just curious. And it says please refer to a synopsis for the lowest responsible bidders per various brands. Was there a synopsis that was referred?
There's a synopsis that was
Did I
part
miss
of the
that?
packet that purchasing pulled together, as well as every one of the vendors sent a letter, and that's part of the packet
I
as well.
saw that, yeah. I guess I just skipped over it. There's only 414 pages
Yeah,
today.
it's
So
pretty long.
I was reading every page, but I guess I ran out of gas somewhere there.
Show that Mr. Hansen's in
Thank you.
attendance, please. Any other questions or comments? And we have a motion and a second, I believe, so we'll do roll call.
Okay. Hanson?
Hanson, yes.
Iqbal?
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We'll move on to item 5C, which is a resolution approving Adopt the Highway Program applicants. Could I have a motion and a second? Mr. Weber and Mr. Caius? Move. Tom?
We have one new applicant, Jonathan Gripes, Edward Jones Investments for Randall Road from Dean Street to Crane Road. This is 1.2 miles in length, and it's on the east side only.
Comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Hanson?
Hanson, yes.
Iqbal?
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon?
Kenyon, yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Okay, item 6A is our planning and programming report. Jackie Forbes is going to handle that today.
Yeah, I'm going to turn over this seat to her.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. And you're going to hear a great presentation shortly. But on our planning and programming report, the first item, I want to let you know that we have opened public comment for our 2050 long-range transportation plan. At last month's meeting, you saw a slideshow that kind of introduced how we developed the entire plan. That is available on our website. We're encouraging people to take a look at that slideshow first, and then they can go through the draft plan, which is about 100 pages. And then there's a link to put up any comments that you have on a Google Doc. So that is open until November 18th at this time. So the next item at our last meeting, we were asked about our previous long-range transportation plans and how well we did predicting the future. So what I have for you today is a presentation to show our analysis of the 2020 plan that had been done years ago. So let me pull that up. So I'm going to set the stage for you. The year is 1996. The president was Bill Clinton, and it was an election year. The Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, was arrested. Both MSNBC and Fox News launched that year. The Best Picture Oscar went to Braveheart. The #1 TV show was ER. The Bulls went 72-10 that 95-96 year and won the championship. Here in Kane County, the Kane County Board Chairman was Warren Kammerer, and later that year, Mike McCoy was elected. The population of Kane County was 371,145 people. And we were looking at the year 2020, 24 years in advance for our long-range transportation plan. So this is the plan that we put together that year and an analysis of that. There's a lot to see here. This is a different format. Instead of just slides, this is actually in GIS called a story map. So I encourage you to go back and click through here and kind of read it. I'm going to kind of quickly summarize what's on these slides, talk about how our predictions went, but it'd be nice if you went back and were able to click through it on your own. There is a link to this in the planning and programming report in the agenda packet. So I want to thank Troy Simpson. He was the one who actually put this together and did all the analysis. He's one of our transportation planners. So let's get started here. Here's a picture of when we posted our plan online for public comment way back in 1996. The first item that we're going to talk about was our population. So we had a couple of different projections that we were able to do back before there was CMAP. We had an agency called NIPSI, NIPC, Northern Illinois Planning Commission, I think is what it stands for. And we had a couple different alternatives that they came up with for the population. On these two maps there, I know you can't really see it, but for the legend, the dark blue and the purple was predicting the higher increases in population, and the white and red were predicting either stable or maybe slightly less population in those areas. So there's two different alternatives here that they had come up with. The population projection we went with on the plan was 540,000 residents. The actual population is 548,258 from the 2015 ACS, and also what we have in our 2050 plan. So we were pretty close on that one in our predictions. So good job back in 1996. So next up was the employment changes. So on these two maps, again, a couple of different scenarios that were being considered at the time. The green is a positive employment change, and the white and the red, again, is indicating maybe a lowering or lesser amount in those areas of the county. So they were estimating on our plan, the number was set at 240,000 for the future. We could not predict was the 2009 mortgage crisis and the subsequent ripple effects. So unfortunately, the actual number was 187,382 according to the 2017 ACS employment numbers. And if you extrapolate it out to 2020, it's about 193,496. So on the employment change, we weren't as close. I'm going to talk about household projections. So this is a little bit of a different map here. Again, I mentioned that you can scroll through these and get a little bit more information. So here we show a little bit of the households changing. The darker red shows an increase that we were predicting in these different areas. The lighter red could also be a decrease. And then you can actually click on these items here and get a little bit more information. Now, I don't have the actual changes here on the screen, but stay tuned. We'll talk about the household prediction next. We have the similar graphic here for employment projections, again, where we're looking at the county. If the red was the darker red, again, areas are showing an increase, and the lighter reds are showing a decrease in there. And a couple of different types of slides here and maps for you. This is kind of a unique look at both employment and households in what the 2020 plan had and versus what the NIPSI had. Looking here, the orange is an overestimate of the plan by CMAP. No, I'm sorry, wrong one. The green and red is a higher prediction than NIPSI predicted, and then the blue are lower predictions than NIPSI predicted. So we were lower, we predicted less out in the western part of our county, And we did pretty well along the eastern part of our county. So again, these are buttons that you can click on and get more information if you want to go back and take a look. Here's the employment totals with the same idea that green and red is a higher prediction than what NIPSI had, and then blue was a lower prediction. This one's scattered out a little bit more, but you can see some differences. So then now we can move on to the household estimate. A little bit different map again. I'm going to zoom it up here so you can take a look. For this one, orange is an overestimate of the plan that we put together for 2020 versus what CMAP modeled for 2020. So orange, we predicted more population than there actually is. The turquoise colors is an underestimate of our plan versus the CMAP modeling for 2020. So we did a fairly good prediction here, in my opinion. We did have some overestimates, again, kind of on the eastern part of the county, but we did pretty good. We're kind of more neutral colors here on the western part of our county. So we did a good job on predicting our households. So the estimates for employment, we talked about what the predictions were, but then the same type of a map here where orange is an overestimate and the turquoise is an underestimate. And again, you can click and get more information and zoom in. So the other thing every plan has is a list of transportation projects and different studies that we needed to do. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this map because it really is meant to be more of an interactive map for people to click on. But we had all the projects listed in the 2020 plan, and then we overlaid them onto this current map where you can click on them and get the status. The green means that project that was in the 2020 plan has now been completed. The yellow means the plan had a project that's now partially, or we did maybe an alternate type of plan that was related to what we asked for in the plan in 2020. And then also red means that it was incomplete or dropped. So you can click on these different segments and get more information. So I'm going to click here. Sorry, I have to zoom in more. Come on. All right, so this is Long Meadow Parkway. So you can click on the name. It tells you who the agency is because there are projects here. There are IDOT projects or tollways. You can see the name of it, the type of improvement, and other information. So back in 1996, we predicted that we would have this Long Meadow Parkway project, and we've completed it. So you can see a lot of the work that's been done on Randall Road is in here. Some of the stuff out west here it has not been completed. I think this yellow line is 47, so that would be an IDOT project. So you can go back here, you can filter through different agencies to see whose it is and other criteria. And then finally, congestion. On the left, you see it says boo because we didn't do a great job predicting this. These maps are a little bit difficult to see, but I'm going to point out that the thicker lines show the roadways that are operating at 100% capacity or more in 1996. So this was based on existing conditions. You can see kind of Randall Road up here at the top was pretty busy. And then down here, we had a few segments. So this one shows projects that were committed in 1996. And the black lines show the congestion that was predicted that's over 125% congested by 2020. So this is just going no new additional projects other than those that were already committed in 96. This next one shows additional preferred projects. So we had our list of projects that we came up with, and we had some preferred ones. So this one shows if we did those preferred projects as well. This is the prediction of the congestion. Again, that thick black line means it's over 125% congested. So this map shows us our current congestion. This is taking from a travel modeling software called Replica. And you can see, again, the thicker lines mean more congestion. We didn't do a great job. We have a lot more congestion today than we predicted that we would have back, even if we did those other projects. So I'll just scroll back here so you can see it. We have a lot more congestion on Randall Road, particularly kind of in the center part of the county than we had originally predicted. So, you know, we did a good job, but it was more severe than we had anticipated. So overall, I think we did a good job predicting the population and the households on those. The employment, we had some challenges only because we couldn't predict things that happened, but we were still relatively close if you take that into consideration. And then the congestion was a little bit off, but at least we can go back and see what the projects were that we predicted and then how we actually completed them or what stage they're at right now. This is just kind of a summary of who put together that information back in 1996. And again, thanks to Troy for putting this together. And that's my report.
Thank you. There's a lot of information.
Yeah.
I think you might want to forward that if you haven't to Mark Van Kerkhoff, because there's just a lot of demographic stuff in there that I think he'd find really interesting as far as development. Questions or comments, Mr. Caius?
Yeah, that's like drinking out of a fire hose. That's a lot of information, a lot of good information.
I know.
Now, I had last night some trouble, and again this morning, I click on that link that's listed on page, that's so small I can't read, 83 or something.
On the report.
63, yeah, on 63, because it says click here for a link, and mine goes nowhere. I don't know if anybody else tried it or not, but
I believe it should be opened in Chrome, because we actually clicked it this morning and it didn't work when it tried to open up in Internet Explorer. So I think it's been optimized for Chrome.
oh, maybe.
If you have Chrome and you hit the link, once you hit the link,
Mhm.
it will come up that you need to subscribe to one of the browsers.
Oh,
Oh, I
I'm
guess
sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing.
Okay.
Like, wait, that's our website. Here, this is the one. Yeah.
So if it will say this, and so it won't go anywhere, but if you take the link up top and drop the unsupported browser part of it, you take that link, you cut and paste into Chrome, and it will pop right up.
Up there, the HTTP.
Yeah. the
Mhm.
HTTP,
Yeah, up here.
yep.
Okay, yeah, I don't get that.
Let me see.
I don't get anything. It just doesn't show up at all. I don't know.
Chris, I could try to help afterwards, or
Yeah, I don't want to slow things. That's why I didn't want to.
Yeah, sorry. That's the one challenge with some of the ArcGIS stuff. It works better in Chrome.
I think that's it.
Mr. Martin?
Both of them.
I'm just curious, what they did in 96 was pretty much on the money relative to population. What would be the reason that the congestion didn't
Yeah.
match up with the population? Is it
No, I'm
did
gonna-
the population grow in different places than anticipated, or?
More people. Yeah, Tom, would the Prairie Parkway, I don't know when that was predicted to be built. Is that something we would have thought would take some of that traffic off of Randall?
there could be a lot of different factors because we do look at, again, the majority of the trips, but there's also trip lengths and there's a lot of information that we didn't have at the time. There's a lot of new data that's out there that hopefully we can make better estimates. Trip lengths, that kind of stuff, the number of trips per type of land use has fluctuated a little bit. So there's different factors that come in that might have been part of the problem.
Yeah, because to me, when I look at it, that's the most valuable part of the report, since it's the transportation department that's producing it. That was the only one that I couldn't understand. All right.
Well,
thanks.
like a lot of science, it's not pure, but it's getting better over time. And I do believe that modeling is continuing to get better.
All right.
Mr. Weber?
Thank you. There's a lot of outside development that happens that makes up a lot of that congestion. Like if I just think like in my district, what wasn't there in 1996 as far as shopping, Geneva Commons, Delnor is now a huge hospital systems, Algonquin, the Algonquin Commons. Like there's been so much development along Randall. It's all people going shopping. Yeah.
I think, if you think of stuff that's coming online, like self-driving cars and smart highways, the open road tolling, that would all seem really futuristic back in 96, which to some of us doesn't seem that long ago. But any other questions? Tom?
I was just going to make one other comment. When we do projections, a lot of times it's based upon some of the growth assessments that the municipalities are doing. And so sometimes some of the growth projections might not be actually the same as she showed as what actually occurred. And so Randall Road might have ended up being much more congested because of the growth projection in a certain area. And so there's a lot of different deltas that affect all of this. And
I'm sure that Prairie Parkway would have affected all those calculations. Although when I was looking at that, I'm thinking, I really don't miss it. I don't know that would have changed our situation all that much, but, and the growth to the west never really took place because of the recession. So, well, thank you. Good job.
Yeah, excellent. And so hopefully we can use that information to tie in and make
I was
good
hoping for
projections.
some pictures of staff from 1996,
I was gonna try and find
comparing them
some,
to
but-
today.
I was heavily involved with this plan.
Oh, you added it?
Yeah.
I tried to set the stage by finding some fun factoids to help us think what was going on at the time. So.
Okay, so we'll move on to traffic operations and permitting. Tom can move back into the hot seat.
You have the report in front of you. There's nothing specific that I really wanted to point at today.
If you have any questions on any of the specific projects, see Tom. Project implementation, we'll move over to Steve for IMP report.
Yeah, nothing I want to add to the IMP report. Unless there's questions, I'll go on to the photos.
Okay, go ahead.
The first photo shows Long Meadow Parkway C2. We're doing some storm sewer relocation work in preparation for the bridge over Sand Bloom and Williams, continuing easterly. The mainline paving of Long Meadow Parkway north of Bowles Road, you can see here with the concrete and asphalt being laid. Kirk at Fabian intersection paving piecemeal while that's under stage construction continues. Our Randall Road Stage 2 HSIP project during a traffic signal turn on at Randall and Orchard, we had some police presence there as the signals go into flash and such as we turn those on under traffic. It's good to have some help there with the traffic control. And also HSIP, another photo showing the work on the traffic signals also here. Kirk Road multi-use path reconstruction project between Pine and Fabian. We did finish up the work in front of Suncast driveway, so that's all finished. You can see them laying asphalt and pouring the 88 curbs right there at Suncast. Hackett-Brencher intersection reconstruction continues. It's moving along very nicely. And last, bridge deck removal of part of Scott Hughes Granite Bridge Rehab Project, showing photos there. That's all the photos I have for you.
Okay, any questions for Steve on any of the projects? Got winter bearing down on us pretty soon, so we'll try and see how far we can get for the year. Okay, we'll move on to item B is our first resolution under implementation. It's an amendment to the IGA with the Forest Reserve for Doberman Road Extension. Need a motion and a second. Mr. Kenyon, Mr. Hanson, move and second. Steve?
This is a little bit of a housekeeping item. A few months ago, this committee and the board approved an IGA with the Forest Preserve as part of our Doberman Road Extension project from US 30 to Granite, which lies adjacent to the Big Rock Forest Preserve. We inadvertently left out this small drainage easement right here. So we're proposing to amend the IGA to roll this easement back in.
Questions or comments? Have a motion and a second. We'll do roll call vote.
Hanson, yes.
Igbo? Kenyon?
Yes.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Igbo?
Iqbal, yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Item C is last but definitely not least, approving an agreement for the electronic transaction consultants for the back office systems for the Long Meadow Bridge tolling. I need a motion and a second. Mr. Martin moves, Mr. Weber seconds. Steve, you're handling that, Steve?
Staff coordinated with the purchasing department for this RFP process, which looks at their solution along with a cost proposal from the firms that throw their hat in the ring. We had 5 firms submit proposals. Our selection team reviewed those, and we shortlisted 2 firms, conducted interviews, obtained best and final offers a couple times, and ranked based upon the rankings, found that the firm ETC ranked the highest. Based upon their best and final offers, the contract, which is a minimum 6-year initial term, along with 2-year additional terms for a potential 10-year maximum contract length, is estimated at the $7.7 million and change. The 10-year contract length was pre-approved by the Director of Finance and the Director of Purchasing, since that is such a long term. And so now with this cost of the toll collection, of the back office services, along with the toll collection services RFP, we have a clearer understanding of what the true costs are. And so we can then look back at what our estimates were back in 2018. And so I wanted to provide a little bit information of that cost comparison. During this process also, over the last couple years, we've received some requests from the county board of how to make adjustments or improvements to this process. And so one of those requests is provide a local discount for residents of King County and the village of Algonquin. And we did accomplish that through a $200 annual fee. You can also break it up into quarterly payments. But if you were to, at $200 a year, drive at least 2 times round trip per week, you would break even. Anything in excess of 2 round trips, then you can see here on the chart on the left, 3, 4, or 5 times per week, that cost drives down to 38 cents per trip. We also provided a $300 annual trip for any folks that want to use the Long Meadow Parkway. That has a break-even point of 3 round trips per year. So that discount was provided. The other county board requests that we received was to lower O&M costs for this compared to those 2018 costs that we have. And we accomplished that by 2 methods. The Easy Pass group, which oversees all of the area here in Midwest and Northeast United States, loosened their rules a little bit, which allowed King County to be eligible and become a full member of Easy Pass Group. We're in the process of completing that. This board approved the agreement for that. We've sent our payments and we're getting the contract signed now. So that allows us to create our own rules, which are better suited for our single toll bridge instead of coordinating with the Illinois Tollway, which would be part of a larger group. And so it gives us a lot more freedom, flexibility to design that system better suited for us. And it also, another thing we did was split the RFP process for the toll collection services, and I'll go into that a little bit further, in the back office services. And so it allowed for more competition. We had 5 proposals for both of those RFPs. So having that greater competition, which includes that price element in the selection. So those firms know they're competing on a price basis also, resulted in lower costs. The toll collection services are basically what you see here along the gantries. Now, this is a single gantry. We're going to have a double gantry in our initial solution. But all of these equipment here to have a cashless, all electronic toll collection system is what really the TCS part of this is. That TCS system then classifies vehicles by height and length, determines the toll rate, reads the transponders, and we're going to have these little sticker tags for the discount program. So it reads those, it captures license plates, and it sends those transactions to the back office. So then the back office services receives those, reconciles those files, collects the toll revenue, does account management and transponder management, resolves disputes, does the payment processing for toll invoicing, does reciprocity with the other Easy Pass agencies, which will primarily be the Illinois Tollway, and then runs our website also. So by doing these split RFP, becoming an Easy Pass group member has allowed us to, that was my slow segue, drive down our O&M cost. So on the left here, you can see in 2022, we anticipate starting the toll bridge. The O&M cost from the 2018 study over then those next 9 years showed 15.6. Now the true cost from the split RFP shows at 10.6. Estimated O&M savings then over the 10-year life of the contract, a little over $5 million, which ends up being a savings of 32%. So, you know, we were able to accomplish that and drive down those costs. The whole toll process is on schedule. This timeline remains unchanged. We adopted the toll ordinance in 2022 or 2020. We're going through that procurement of the toll collection system. We've let the last mainline contract. We've got one more contract that we're going to let here over the next month or so for the gantries and the roadside toll building. So that'll occur in 2020. We'll then put everything out on the street under those contracts next year and still looking at an early 2022 operating. So with the completion of the RFP process for the back office services, which selected ETC, their contract, again, is a minimum 6 years, 2 2-year options, $7.7 million contract, which results in that $5 million savings. Staff recommends approval of this contract.
Clear that 7.78 million, that's for the 10-year.
That is for the 10-year full appropriation request. Again, if you know, it's a 6-year minimum, but this appropriation does
Cost
cover
is about $750,000 per year to operate the entire system. Questions or comments, Mr. Caius? Why did I think you would be the first one?
You got my vote last time. That's it, man. It seems ironic. I'd certainly appreciate the trying to bring the cost of things down. However, it seems ironic that when we were doing our budget last month, earlier this month, when our director of finance found $184 that he was able to save. And we're talking about saving $5 million, but at the cost of $10 million to set this up and carry it out through 10 years. And then I believe the $4.7 million that we passed, or that the board passed at the last meeting to do the other things. I guess maybe it's not ironic that they call this the back office. It seems like the back office has taken a lot of money. And I would like to speak on behalf of those residents in my District 23 who have expressed their displeasure with having a toll on this bridge that will, it looks like, even if I bought a permit, cost me an extra $200 a year to drive across my village. Whereas the rest of the county roads don't have a toll for maintenance or building across the river that is not ridiculous for us to complain that we are being singled out and asked to pay an extra fee while we pay for things like the Fabian Park or the Fabian Bridge repairs, but we're also then asked to pay for our own bridge and our own repairs and our in excess of what the county, what other county residents have to pay. It seems like that $15 million is a lot of money just to collect the money that it's going to cost for this bridge.
Where you come up with the 15? And you
Well,
mentioned
okay, 10 million, excuse me. 10 million, well, how about
10 either. It's
10 million and then
7.78.
4.7 from the last thing
An
there.
accountant would not like your 25% increase.
Thank you. Well, we'll round it off to down. 10 million is way more than $184 anyway. So anyway, I want to express my displeasure with that on behalf of the residents of and I will vote no and encourage you to do so as well.
Other questions or comments? Steve, is the equipment, like all the equipment, is that part of the construction budget or is that part of this contract?
The equipment that goes on the gantry is part of the toll collection services. So that's the contract that we just approved
Okay,
recently.
so they pay for the actual electronics and so forth as
Correct.
part of this, and we put up the gantry.
Right, the gantry is part of the next project to be let, along with the roadside toll building that'll store the electronic equipment.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Anybody online? Okay, if not, I need a motion and a second. Do I have a motion and a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second, so we'll do a roll call vote.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Caius,
Caius, no.
Martin? Yes.
Sanchez,
No.
Weber.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to put our reports from today on file. Mr. Martin moves, Mr. Caius seconds. Roll call.
Hanson,
Hanson, yes.
Igbo,
Iqbal, yes.
Kenyon,
Kenyon, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Reports are put on file. We have no need for executive session. There's no additional public comment, nobody in attendance, nobody online. Need a motion and a second to adjourn. Mr. Weber makes a motion, Mr. Kenyon seconds to adjourn. Roll call. Voice vote. All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
We changed it up.
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody opposed?